I'm your lead instructor, Kenneth Thornton, the #1 in training academy and a DMV. Today we'll teach you how to handle a firearm properly and safely. All right, welcome back to Safety First Firearms Training Consultants. What we're going to do now, we're going to show you all how to properly load and make a weapon safe. The first thing we're going to always do is we're going to take custody of the weapon, keeping it pointed in the safest direction. We're going to look inside that chamber, check that breech face, check that magazine well. We ensure that this weapon now is safe. We're going to look away, then we're going to look back, physically inspect it, make sure that it's good. We're going to take a magazine, insert that magazine into the weapon. We're going to take the slide, bring the slide to the rear and let it go. Slingshotting it. If we had to aim in, we'll then aim in. That's how you properly load your weapon. Now, to make this weapon safe, the first thing we're going to do is remove that source of ammunition, magazine release. We're going to take that mag out. We're going to then charge it 3 times, once, twice, 3 times, and then use the slide lock, bring it to the notch, just like so. We're going to check it twice, way, and we're good to go. Now the weapon is safe. All right, now we're going to do a hot reload. A hot reload is basically reloading the weapon up, charging it. We're in a situation where we're using the weapon. There's a law in action. We don't know what happened. It might be 2 people, might be 3 people, but we definitely know we've used ammunition inside this weapon. So we're going to then take custody of the next magazine, use an L-shape magazine exchange, place that inside the weapon, place this in our pocket, and now we can rock and roll. That's a hot reload. All right. Now we're going to do a dry reload, We fire, we press that trigger, that slide locks to the rear. Remember, that slide pushes up on that slide lock, locking it to the rear. Then we're going to take custody of that next magazine, let that magazine fall to the ground, insert the new magazine into the weapon, charge it, and then we can rock and roll, fire if need be, keeping that finger off the trigger until we're ready to fire. Once we finish, finger comes off the trigger. The bullet and how the bullet works. The bullet has 4 parts. You have the primer, the propellant, the bullet casing, and then the actual bullet. The primer, when struck, it actually ignites the propellant, and the propellant actually pushes the bullet down the barrel of the gun. Now, when this happens, we're going to be looking for misfires. A misfire is a failure to discharge or fire properly. That's why we're going to keep that weapon pointed down range if we press the trigger and nothing happens. We also have what's called a hang fire. A hang fire is a delay. You can press it, nothing happens, then you wait a couple of seconds, then the weapon can go off. So that's why it's important, no matter if you're having a misfire or a hang fire, that you keep that weapon pointed down range. Once 20 seconds have went by, we're going to tap the bottom of the magazine, eject that round out, and then go along with our shooting if necessary. Squib load. This is a very dangerous situation. As you can see, the bullet actually didn't have enough power to actually exit the barrel. So now it's stuck inside the barrel. All right. It's a malfunction in which the fire projector does not have enough force to exit out of the barrel, and it's stuck inside. We want to stop right here. It's going to be given a weak report. It's going to be more like a or something like that. You will know it when it happens. We're going to stop. Do not fire that weapon after, because what can happen is it can actually explode and mess up your weapon, or you can possibly be injured with the squib load. For the three types of malfunctions, we're going to remember misfire, hang fire, and a squib load. On the revolver, it's stamped on the barrel. On the semi-automatic, it's stamped on the chamber. That way you know which type of ammunition your weapon takes. All right, welcome back. Now what we're going to do is we're going to clean this Glock 19. One of the first things we want to always do is check it. Check it twice. Check that chamber. Check that breech face. Check that magazine well to ensure that the weapon is safe. We're going to charge it 3 times. Even though we've already assured that it was safe, we're going to still charge it 3 times. Once, twice, 3. Lock it to the rear. Check it twice. Send that bolt forward. We have to press that trigger on this particular weapon. Once we press that trigger, we're going to then take our dominant hand, bring it back 1 inch, take down levers on both sides, come down, and then that slide assembly comes off. We're going to take the frame assembly, place it there. We're going to then take the recoil spring tube and guide, and then the barrel and the frame. At this time, I'm going to actually put on my gloves because we're getting ready to get dirty. Some weapons are going to be dirtier than others, just like so. I always suggest using gloves. It makes it easier to clean your hand. Just take them off, just like so. All right, so the first thing we're going to clean, we're going to inspect the barrel, make sure that everything's okay. Everything is okay. I'm going to then take the bull brush right there on that feed ramp. I'm going to get that nice and clean as I can get it. Just like so. I'm going to flip it over, use the smaller one, get any crud, any grime that could be built up right there. Once I get that off, we're good to go. We're always inspecting for any type of cracks and things of that nature. Now, if you're old school, you would then take the rod, put a cleaning patch through it, and then send this through and then bring it back and do that a couple of times. But before you would do that, you would then take the bore brush, send it through, bring it back, just like so. Now, what they have a contraption called the bore snake. I actually use the bore snake. All I have to do is take it, put a little bit of lube right there on the bore brush, just like so. Put it on both sides, just like so. And then I will actually take the weighted portion, push it straight down, and then I pull it through. Cleaning it in its entirety on the inside. I'm going to still take a couple of pads and wipe down that barrel, making sure that this is nice and clean. We don't want to have excess. We've already inspected and make sure that everything was good. I'm going to take one drop, and then I'm going to take my finger and rub it in on that barrel. The reason why we're doing that is because of the friction, metal touching metal. That's what we want to make sure that we clean, metal touching metal. We're going to place this down like so. The recoil spring tube guide, we're going to take that toothbrush, make sure that we get inside any carbon that may have built up, any dirt or grime, make sure that we get it all off, just like so. And when we're finished, we're going to then, of course, wipe it down, ensuring that it is clean, placing that right so. We're going to then take the slide assembly. We're going to look for any cracks. Everything appears to be normal. Now, I don't like to use the bore brush along the sides. So what I would use is a regular brush to get any particles, any metal shavings, just like so, out of there to clean them. Make sure that you get that ramp. That's why we have the small portion of the brush. Flip it over, just like so. We'll make sure that anything don't go down a weep hole right there. Flipping it over, everything appears good. And we finish with that. Now we're going to take the frame assembly. Again, we're looking for any types of cracks. All right. I'm going to clean this like so. Get those ramps, get those rails. Just like so. Don't forget to go down that magazine well. Flip it over. All right. Now that we're finished cleaning it, we're going to make sure that we lube it. Now, along those rails, we're going to take just one drop. Just one drop. Place it on the side. Take one drop. Place it on the side. I like to turn this upside down so that way it can race down just like so. Give that a second or two. All right. Now we flip that. We're going to do the same thing right here. Remember, metal to metal, just one drop. One drop. All right. Now it's time to place this weapon back, put this weapon back together. We're going to take the slide assembly, take the barrel, place it inside. It should lock in place. We're going to take the recoil tube and guide, place it in like so. Remember, that's a half-shaped moon. So we're going to place it inside, place it right on that half-shaped moon, turn it upside down, railing system, place it inside, bring it straight back to the rear. The weapon is now fully assembled. Before we do anything, we're going to do a function check to ensure that the weapon is properly put back together. We're going to send that slide forward. We're going to charge it once, 2, 3 times. Once it's charged 3 times, we're going to then aim in, pressing the trigger. You should hear that click. Keeping that trigger to the rear, we're going to then charge it. We should hear the trigger resets itself. And then press it again. The function check is complete. I'm going to lock that slide to the rear. Check it twice. Look away. Place it down, port side up. And we're done. Now we're going to transition over to the revolver. The revolver is a little bit easier. Again, making sure that that weapon is safe. We're going to check it twice, look away, go back like so. Cleaning of the revolver is a little bit easier. If you do this each and every time, it's going to be less carbon. You're going to take the bore, push it through, bring it back. 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 So you've done all 6 holes. And then we would take the patch and send that patch through and then bring it back. Just like so. Now we're going to actually change that patch out and get a clean patch for each hole. So when we want to put that patch on, we're going to make sure that we bend it in place. Thread that needle, just like so. Just like so. Now, when I place it down, I remember the one that I just used is straight up. So it makes it that much easier for me to take this one out, get the next one, and then go to the next hole. All right. We're going to inspect this, making sure that it's any wear and tear. We good to go. All right. We're always looking. Gunk. Hit that bore brush. Get that gunk out of there just like so. Just like so. Close it up. You want to get on that face right there. Get it nice and clean, just like so. All right, looking on both sides. Any cleaning that needs to be done. Just right here in front of that front sight. If you have to, get right up in there. just like so. Flip it over, same on this side, just like so. All right, open back up. We checked it, making sure that everything works. If anything needs to be checked on or lubed, we're gonna do it. Now we have to actually do the actual barrel. Now, before we would use the rod and send the rod through it. Me personally, like I said before, I like the snake. The snake is a little bit easier. We're going to show you how to do it both ways. Remember, we cannot input it from this direction. So now we have to turn it around where we have to actually input it from this direction. So we would take that rod, push it through, and then bring it back. Do this once or twice and bring it back. Then we're going to keep it just like so. Switch over, get one of those patches, place it inside, send it through, bring it back. We're going to keep doing this. This is actually pretty clean. All right, we're going to keep doing that until it's clean. Or we can go new school. See the bore brush? These are the bore bristles right here. And we can actually take it, the weighted portion, let it go down, just like so, and bring it through. All in one swipe or one pull. All right, we finished cleaning it. We checked it, we inspected it. Everything's working properly. And we're good to go. Malfunction drills. Malfunction drills. I'm aiming in. I press that trigger. Nothing happens. I'm going to tap the bottom of the magazine, work the slide to the rear, and re-engage my threat and fire if necessary. Tap the bottom of the magazine, work the slide to the rear, aim in, and fire if necessary. Tap the bottom of the magazine, work the slide to the rear, aim in, and fire if necessary. Now we're going to transition over to the revolver. We're going to be using the Smith & Wesson Model 10. We're going to also use the speed loaders and the individual rounds, just like so. We're going to always start with a weapon. The cylinders open up and the weapon is safe. So we're going to check it twice, look away. We're going to take custody of it. We're going to ensure that the speed loader, when we place them inside the chambers, we turn it, they fall in just like so. We close that close just like so. We ready to aim in. If there's a situation where we have to shoot, we're going to actually use that weapon. All right, now this is a double action, single action weapon. Double action means the hammer is going to determine the functions. So if I'm aimed in, focusing on that hammer, when I press that trigger, the hammer comes back and drops. Double action. The hammer comes back and drop. If I wanted to use this in a single action, I would thumb cock that hammer just like so. And now all the hammer does is just drop forward. Single action. The hammer just drops forward. Now, if we get into a situation where we thumb cock that hammer and we realize we don't have to use this weapon, we're going to take custody of the hammer. Then we're going to take our finger, press the trigger, riding that hammer forward, finger off the trigger. Again, we thumb cocked it. We're going to put our thumb on that hammer, finger on the trigger, riding it forward. That's the safest way to do it. Opening up the cylinder, just like so. When it comes down to getting those rounds out the chamber, we're going to press the ejection rod, just like so. Hit it, just like so. And it comes out, keeping that weapon pointed downrange. Again, we're going to start from the weapon, being safe. We're going to take custody of the weapon. We're going to check it twice, look away. We're going to look back inside. We physically and visually inspect the weapon. We're going to take each round, one at a time. Place it inside the chamber. One at a time. Place it inside the chamber. One at a time. Place it inside the chamber. Once we finish, we're going to then close up that cylinder, give it a slight tug to ensure that it's properly seated. Our finger stays alongside of the frame, just like so, palm to palm. If we had to engage the thread, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Once there's a law in action and we're ready to do a reload, we're going to open up that cylinder, eject the rounds out. Remember, we're going to keep that weapon pointed forward. When we hit that ejector rod, they're going to come out. All right. If you want to, you can switch hands, load up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or keep it in that dominant hand, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That way, when it's time to close up that cylinder, lock it in place, we can then re-engage our threat if necessary. To make this weapon safe, we're going to open up that cylinder, hit the ejector rod, check it twice, and we finish. Keep the cylinder open, muzzle pointed down range, and we're finished. Two-handed shooting. This is demonstrating how you hold a revolver with two hands, how you hold a revolver with one hand, how you hold a semi-automatic thumbs forward, how you hold a semi-automatic thumb over thumb, one-handed shooting with a semi-automatic thumb forward, one-handed shooting semi-automatic thumb over finger. Do not place your thumb behind the action. This action comes back. A lot of times individuals will place that non-dominant thumb behind it. When the action comes back, you can injure your thumb. So please do not do this. All right, folks, this is what we want right here. This is focusing. I'm focusing on that front sight, looking through the rear sight, equal amount of light on the top, equal amount of light on both sides of the front sight. Equal height, equal light. This is focusing. This is what you need to be able to shoot perfectly or close to it. This is focusing. Now I'm going to show you what's looking. When we're focusing, this is how it looks. And this is looking. You don't want to look. This is what you want to do. You want to focus. This is looking.